So resource means then you have you started the resources, then this is resources, all the your activity XML files, and then our raw resources, and so on and so forth. This thing we already did it, this all things together, already implemented it. How can, but I will discuss later part of the sections how can you start the individual developments, but I will try to give it to you the really abstract level information. How can you start the application, do the implementation, how can you run, how can you build emulator, how can you run the real devices, and so on and so forth. That's thing together. So this is one of the spatial packet that we try to talk about a little bit here. So Gradle scripts, here is one of the another XML files for the coloring, was setting the style, the strings, and so on and so forth. These things is really default settings from the from the Android Studio or Android project structure. I mean, that's one. So we have some data and the structure like for this. So we have a Java folder, manifest folder, Java folders for testing, and resource directory folders, and all this is the most important one that you need to be get to understand clearly. So you can close everything. That's why we don't need it anything, because we didn't discuss today about the real developments that we will do the later part of the screencast. So most important part, you here see that there is a two spatial files. The settings.gradles is containing the apps directory and the project root project name. That's you are showing here the root project names, the OSM, uh, OSM, OSM. OSM OpenStreetMaps route map routing planners. This is the, you see that when you run the application, you see the title of the applications. This is the project root project application, the name of the your root project name. So you see the title of the application, but even though you can manipulate it, those things what you need to do. Then you have the Gradle properties. This is the default properties for the configurations or properties for the Gradle settings, like really JVM arc values. How can the JVM, and then use Android X, true and false. This is the really standard basic settings of the of Android application. And then you have some like this is the most important one. That's the important one. Why? Because you need to understand really clearly. So two files from Gradle, build.gradles from the apps. You see the build.gradle from the apps. It has containing the plugin, the when you build the projects, and it's automatically inject the standard plugin, the com.android application plugin, and Android necessary compile SDK version. That's we already selected. When you build the application, you selected which version of SDK. This is the 29th, and then you have a build tools versions. For the build tool version is there, then, and all the default settings, default configuration settings. You see the your root the root projects names. You see that root directory name here, the UVSoftGroup, OSM map root planners, and then the minimum SDK version 23 and target SDK version 29. That means your SDK version minimum is this, or devices that is in version is possible to run 23rd, and maximum version is 29. So just if you take the minimum versions, that means you are losing some devices, or cover more devices that run your application. If you get the really upper versions, and that means you are losing some devices, your application is not portable or comfortable, or is not, your application is not be possible to install the latest version of this what you selected, the minimum version of your application or your app. So here is the most important part that we need to discuss, the dependencies. That means that doesn't matter what dependency you need to be inject the dependency like that way. But you can Google it and you can understand the basic structure, what dependency you need, and then you can just input this dependency, and then the Gradle will itself, or Android Studio itself, the refresh the dependency, inject the dependency into the your projects. So you see the dependency is here. So we need the dependency. For JUnit test, this is the auto dependency coming when you build a project. Android template, test template dependency. This is the two important dependencies here. And and then Android app compact. This is the dependencies: auto define dependency, default dependency when you did the project, and this is the own dependency that you need, your functionality, your features. That's I said, for this application, this app, we use the OSM Android APIs, and also the OSM Android API for the map functionalities, and also the GJSON, Google JSON, the dependency or APIs we injected there. We have a common loggings and geo packaging and geo maps force and all the dependency. That's what we need. And for implementing these APIs, we just implement here. If you need additional one, you just put it here, the additional dependency here, and then it will inject or inject to the dependency, download the dependency from the internet and inject the dependency into your projects. When you build the projects, and then the dependency will be showing into your APK files or your resource file. You packed the resources into your APK files. That's I mean. So that means you build the application. The application itself has its own structure of the dependency injections, own structure of the plugins, and own structure of the projects. Then you got it here. So here another dependency just is containing where is the Gradle build path. It's taking the dependency management. So it has a Google repositories and has a JSON repositories. Maybe you need a Maven repository. You see the Maven repository, all things. It's really default structure. Just you build the application, you properly structure it, the application, and then you import the application into the IDE, the Studio IDE, and start the developments. That's I said I will do the continuing the previous next screencast. How can you import the application, how can you structure it, how can you format these things together, but it's really generic structure. When you done your implementations or you try to build the application or install the application into your any simulator, any emulator, or any real devices. That's also so today we try to run the application in the emulator, what functionalities that we have it, and then how we can did it. And we will do the next one, how can you start the developments. The every line of code I will show you later into the development. So let's have a run the application. That's we already know. There is a device manager. You see the AVD manager. You can have select the AVD manager, and then AVD manager have the largest emulator. You can select one of the emulator that's you need, or depending, or you can run also the real devices that's you need to your application, the real devices, your real life devices. You can see how the real device application, of course the real devices application will be the really quicker and really faster way to do. If you use the emulator, then you need to be handle yourself the all application, all things. Your application need to be emulator need more memory, because it's a virtual your mobile device that's the emulator is doing. So that means we have all the structure properly designed, and then this is the activity file, this is all the things we will discuss later this part. So we already run the application, we already run the emulator also. We are seeing, you see the application is running. Let's have a rerun the emulator. So we see that in the down level. So it's launching the application that you see an application. If the launching of application is successful, and then install the APK file into the real devices, that's you see the installation successfully finished, and then require the reinstall the application. Or see the real device we are running. So you see the application is running. Maybe we can rerun again, then we can see how the effect of the applications. So you see the screen, your device screen, and then your application in launching. You see loaded then all the maps, all the navigation maps. You have a scale bars of the maps, zoom in, zoom out functionalities,